Got you.
And like
after all, it was a culmination of all your hard work.
Right.
You're like,
So,
finally.
Yeah, like when I
I'm not gonna be struggling.
When I was a CDC, that first year that I was a CDC, we got a lot of really good press.
Yeah.
Got a lot of really good ratings and accolades, and we had our busiest year in the history of the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And so like they kind of saw the trajectory that we had, and like my focus was always on, obviously it was on making food good or trying to make food good.
Yeah.
But creating like a hospitable work environment for the staff.
Yeah.
Like stuff that I learned from competition, just like it's a team. There's no one part that's better than the whole.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of restaurants that were in the Michelin echelon or whatever you'd call it that were not operating that way.
No.
So I was just trying to make the change, and that got a lot of traction. And so Paul was like, "Hey, you're doing good stuff. I love the way that you are with the staff. I love the food that you're making. Blah blah blah. I want to make you an executive chef." So I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, let's do it." Mm-hmm. It didn't change my job at all.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a lot of fun. And then after a couple years of doing that, I just getting like roped into doing like events with like celebrity chefs and do like all of these different things that had to do with like less to do with cooking and more to do with like my image.
Got you.
I just got really upset about it. I started having like epiphanies every day that it's like, yo, the goal of a chef is to just make yourself look better all the time.
Yeah.
It's like slowly getting away from actually doing what you're intended to do, which is to make food for people and make other people happy. The chef now is all about how can I make myself look better.
Yeah.
As opposed to focusing on like lifting up the people that are doing all the hard work in the restaurant. And so like I tried to like cultivate that kind of environment at Blackbird, and it worked for a while.
Yeah.
But I just like that excitement that I initially had going into it
fading
started to fade because, and like in all honesty, it wasn't because I wasn't happy with what we were doing. It was just like I've created an environment where people have autonomy and they could run this restaurant without me. I don't even need to be here.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of going through like the monotonous motions.
Then you're stunting your growth at that point.
Exactly. It's like I'm starting to get too big for this cage.
Yeah.
And not like in a like
ego way. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's just like there's other stuff out there that I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I wanted to do something that wasn't fine dining.
Yeah.
And it just turns out the guy that just walked in, Stefan, we were in New Orleans for his bachelor party, and I had met Mason previously at a James Beard event.
Got you.
We briefly talked there. We went to his restaurants, and I seen him at Molly's Rise and Shine. And I walked up to him like, yo, what up, dude? I don't know if you remember me. He's like, oh, shit, what up? Talked for a little bit, and then he reached out to me after we left New Orleans, and he said, it was great to see you. Would you guys be down to do a pop-up at Blackbird? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Like, turn the fucking Michelin restaurant into a sandwich shop for a day. And I know the pull that Turkey and the Wolf has. Like, he was best restaurant in 2017, like, in the country.
Yeah.
Like, best restaurant.
Okay.
And he was just a cool-ass dude. Like, he was just a person that I could tell our ethos aligned.
Okay.
And he came out, and we did the pop-up, and it was in November, and it was frigid cold out, and there's a 300-person line out the door. Like, people were interested in it.
Yeah.
And it was just a ton of fun. And then we went out that night, and we got blitz-ass drunk.
Yeah.
Just partied way too hard.
The best part of events, really.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, man. And the next day, I like woke up to a bunch of text messages from him, like, okay, that was the most fun I ever had. When are we going to open a restaurant together? And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm in Chicago.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's open a restaurant in Chicago.
So he's like, I'll fucking move there, bro.
No, not even that. He's just like, he's like, he felt the same way that I did about him and about me. And
yeah,
he's like, let's take this idea and bring it to Chicago. He's like, I know you got ideas. And so over the course of like 10 months, we just like shot ideas back and forth. Like, what would we do? Obviously, we want to make a sandwich shop because I've always had an affinity for sandwiches. and we just talked about how we would do it. And during that time is January 2020. I went up to Paul.
Yeah.
Paul Kahn.
Mm-hmm.
And just had a conversation, like an honest conversation. Like, hey, I've been here for 10 years. I want to branch out and do something else. I want to do something that's mine. Like, I'll forever be in the shadow of you if I continue to stay here.
Yeah.
Which is not a problem, but, like, after working for so long and, like, doing all of the work, like, you kind of don't want to be outshined by somebody that's just the name that's attached to the restaurant.
Yeah.
You would like to get the recognition for it.
Exactly.
Feel like you did the work.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was completely understanding. And then the pandemic happened.
Yeah, okay.
So Blackbird closed. Done. Completely done. Closed forever. But it was kind of serendipitous because I was ready to move on and do something else different anyways. The two guys that owned this place, Jeff and Wade, they were also in a bit of a pickle because this place was called Young American and it was a bar. And you couldn't have anybody. I mean, in March, April, May, June, everything was turned upside down.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't have people inside. And to-go cocktails weren't, like, there wasn't laws passed to make to-go cocktails yet and all this stuff. And all the restrictions were just starting to, like, pile on, and that COVID was starting to get really serious. And they reached out to me, and they're like, hey, we can't operate as a bar. Would you like to run a pop-up out of here for a little while and, you know, get a brand out there? And I'm like, oh, that's crazy because I kind of wanted to do that anyways.
Yeah.
And so we started doing, we knew that we wanted to have this concept, and we knew that we were going to call it Big Kids. It's something that me and Mason agreed on. But we couldn't really open up as Big Kids until we had all of our contracts and things signed. And, like, there's a lot that came with me and Mason forming an LLC and partnering with Jeff and Wade, who had an LLC that pre-existing in this restaurant.
Uh-huh.
So in order to change the concept, I had to make sure that I was protected, Mason was protected, all this stuff, and the contracts took forever. So in the meantime, we had to find a way to, like, generate revenue while we were just waiting.
Yeah.
So we started doing burger pop-up, and we started selling shitty burgers. That's what we call them. Just like a really heavily smashed burger with burger sauce and fucking shredded lettuce on like a butter toasted bun, and like and it exploded. Like, people were lining up out the door to come have this fucking overrated burger.
Yeah.
And we did that for 2 months, maybe 3 months. I don't really remember. And then we finally were able to open up Big Kids in October.
Uh-huh.
And that was once again in the thick of, hey, that's Ray Ray. It was just, the beginning of it was really hard. We had a lot of press in the beginning, so the first month was just like, we couldn't keep up. Mm-hmm. And then after that, like, you know, people want things that are new.
Yeah.
So winter happened in Chicago, so everything stops. We're only doing takeout food. Delivery services are fucking garbage.
Yep.
And the rest of that of last year was really tough. Just to kind of, like, scrape by, because we didn't have investors. The investment that existed was pre-existing in this restaurant, and it was already spent on building this restaurant or building the bar out.
Yeah.
When it was owned previously.
Gotcha.
So we had to work on capital that we were bringing in. That was the money that we
literally
had.
burger money.
Burger money.
Yeah.
So, long story short, after, like, putting all my savings back into the restaurant and then asking for some money from some friends and stuff like that, we have a little bit of more capital. And winter is going away. It's 2021 now, in March. Things are getting a little bit better with COVID, so we decided to open up a social distance patio. And that worked out really good. We were filling up the patio, and everything's great. And we're at that point now still. We opened up about half the bar, and we're going to open up fully in the next week or so. Mm-hmm. We just kind of have to figure out how to run a restaurant. Because, I mean, we opened up with a business plan that was all takeout.
Yeah.
So now we're, like, trying to figure out how to operate with people in the space and not, like, treat it like our bedroom.
Yeah, I hear you. That started happening a lot in restaurants across everywhere. Even us, we're just like fucking putting boxes in the corner, and before you know it, your whole dry storage is in the dining room. And
Exactly.
You're like, we can't do this.
And it's like we didn't pivot from being indoor to being only takeout back to being indoor. We started as takeout, so it's been a wild transition.
Yeah. Have you felt that you've been as busy as you want to be? Like, are you just crushed?
Yeah, we're pretty busy.
Yeah.
And we want to be busier because we have a very zealous business model with our labor where we pay people an equal wage. Everybody gets paid $14 an hour.
Uh-huh.
We have an 18% service charge that gets added on to every single person that buys something from here.
Okay.
That goes directly
to them,
distributed to the staff.
Okay.
People tip on top of that. That goes to the staff. And then as soon as we start making money, myself and my partners have a profit share in line so everybody that works here gets a bonus. If we're busier, they should be making more money.
For sure.
And like that equal wage goes for everybody, including myself. Like we all make the same amount of money. And the way that we're able to do that is because everybody that works here does every job.
Yeah.
One day somebody will be on the griddle station. The next day they're waiting on the patio.
Okay.
Somebody's bartending one day. The next day they're working the door. It's just like we just kind of.
So this can be a full-on university for people that want to learn all aspects of the restaurant business.
And everybody that works here comes from some sort of Michelin or high-end restaurant background.
Yeah.
Like one of the servers that we have here, her name's Giovanna Salas. She's the pastry chef at Smith.
Yeah.
She was the pastry chef at Katsanya. Like she has two Michelin stars under her belt, and she's waiting tables here.
Yeah.
Because, and when I talk to her about it, like she's treated like a person.
Yeah.
As opposed to a cog in the plot of the restaurant.
Exactly.
And everybody here, everybody just wants to, like, we're just making sandwiches, you know?
Yeah.
Fried foods and things like that. But everybody has the autonomy they deserve, and they're paid well, and they can do whatever they want. They want to put stuff on the menu. Like, you'd think that, like, coming from, like, a fine dining background, people would crave tweezers and things like that. And I'm sure that we all still like food like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't feel any sense of, like, less worth because I'm putting things on bread.
Yes.
In fact, it's the opposite, because we get to kind of take the things that we've learned and put that into making something as pedestrian as a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great. And instead of, like, just dealing with, like, the minutia of things that happen in daily life in a fine dining restaurant, we get to have fun.
Yeah.
The stress level is nil. We all enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
And the work is evenly spread, so nobody's working harder than anybody else. We all get paid the same, so it's not cutthroat.
Yeah.
It's just it's awesome.
That's a fucking incredible community you're building here, man.
That's what we're trying.
Do you plan on taking this and maybe making another restaurant, another Big Kids Anywhere, or do you feel...
My partners want to start expanding the brand. I'm not opposed to that. If we were to open anything else, it wouldn't be Big Kids.
Okay.
It'd be something else.
Do you think that you'd ever want to do like any more fine dining? Any more?
So I wouldn't want to do fine dining in the sense that I want to go and build out a restaurant and create steps of service and all of these different things. Everybody that works here already knows all of that stuff. And we have this beautiful bar, and we have a kitchen. So maybe one night a week on a day that we normally would be closed, we do some sort of a dinner series. I got a lot, like, fortunate enough in my fine dining pedigree to have met a lot of very good chefs.
Yeah.
So I call people up and just be like, hey, you want to cook tonight? We'll sell 10 tickets. We're not doing it to make money. We'll donate the money to some sort of a charity.
Yeah.
But we'll get people in here and we'll show them that we're not complete fucking slouches.
Yeah.
We still know how to cook.
You know what you were saying earlier about just having to, like, keep your self-image up and make yourself look good. Mm-hmm. You know, even though that has its negative points, it sort of made a positive impact on your life because you had to go to the James Beard event, so you met all these people.
Yeah,
and you had to go to, you know what I mean? So I think that there's a little bit of value in that as well.
There 100% is. Like, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the things that I was able to achieve or the things that I learned from being in those kitchens.
Yeah.
Mostly Blackbird.
Yeah.
That's where I spent most of my time.
Yeah.
And and it was great. I did have a great time. It's just like, you know,